Episode of Bobby's Business Club's The Chat Show Live. And Bobby's Business Club is a collaborative group of business owners from around Australia and the world who'd like to come online, have a meeting together. We share our stories of success. We share where we need help. And we do this all in 1 hour every fortnight. We also have LinkedIn posting parties and Facebook posting parties, which is all about you getting your post out to more views and getting more people to read what you're doing that week, that day, or whatever's going on in your life. Everything we do is about connecting people and networking and learning more about each other's business. And this chat show is no different. And so today I'd like to bring our first guest online to introduce themselves. And this is Joanne. Hi, Joanne. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you, Bobby. Good to be here.
You want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Oh, of course. Joanne Brooks, I'm the owner and founder of Navigate Biz. And as happens in many businesses, what we speak about and how we deliver our programs evolves. And so what I'm morphing into is to sharing with people about how business owners navigate the critical moments that occur in business. And there's a book coming out. I'm going to put it out there. There's a book coming out by December called The Girl in the Cupboard, Dealing with Critical Moments. And so this is just a little bit of a snapshot of what I've experienced in my business and why I do what I do, and just giving an insight as to how to deal with those critical moments.
Really looking forward to seeing that. And that's right, you've got to put it out to the universe. You put it out there, you've got to get it done. So I love that. Our second guest today is Anna. Anna, how are you? Do you want to do an introduction about yourself?
Yes, thank you very much, Bobby. So my name is Anna Thellmann. I'm the owner and head coach of Thellmann Consulting here in China, in Shenyang. And I help women to get their orgasm back by getting out of their head and into their knickers.
I love it.
And I love it too, to be honest. And I've only got this topic or my niche a couple of months ago. You've all been there. You actually lived with me through the moment of discovering it and going for it. So I'm really happy to share today with you what I've learned in the last 6 months.
Exciting. I kind of feel like I've been on that journey from the beginning with you. So I'm really excited to see where you're at now. And then over to our wonderful co-host, Karen, do you want to do a bit of an intro about yourself?
Yeah, just quickly, I'm excited to be here to listen to these two beautiful women. My name is Karen White. I'm actually based in Singapore, so a neighbour, I would say, of Anna's. I am a certified life coach. I focus on women, professional women over 35, and just really help them. Probably the best way to say it is when they're getting close to burnout with their careers or just in life in general, just really help them with that.
Nice. Beautiful. Thank you so much for jumping on, and your support is always very much welcomed. And so our first speaker today is going to be Joanne. Joanne's going to have around 15 minutes to present and talk about whatever she feels like she wants to talk about. She can share the screen, she has slides, it's totally up to her. And it's over to you, Joanne, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I was going to do a slide deck, but I've decided, you know what, on the spur of the moment, I'm not. I'm just going to speak because I think I'm just going to do that. So this is about critical moments and how you deal with that. So I wanted to share with you my journey through business and how I got there and what had me start a business and what it looks like today in Navigate Biz. So I'm going to go way back to when I was 18. When I was 18, I finished school. This was in 1980. And I always wanted to go to university. But sadly, that wasn't an option for me. So my dad said to me, you will go and get a job and you will get a job in a bank. And so in those days, Joanne was a very shy person. And the reason the book is called The Girl in the Cupboard is because my mum shares with me when she couldn't find me, I would be in a cupboard playing with my toys and dolls. And I was a very different and shy person to what you see today. I know a complete 360-degree change of who I am. So in 1980, my dad said, go and do the bank exam. So in those days, you did that on a Saturday. So I went and did all the bank exams and Joanne went, beauty, now I'm done. I'll just sit and wait. And Dad said, actually, no. You will go and ring every branch manager on the Gold Coast until you get a job. Now, the thought of doing that, the person that I was then, incredibly shy, the thought of ringing somebody and cold calling to talk about me was so confronting. But you know what? I did it. And in 2 weeks, I got a job, which was pretty, I think it didn't really resonate with me that well. And I will say to you, it's only probably in the last 3 to 4 years, I realized the impact that had on me. because the branch manager said to me, the reason you got that job was that you rang consistently, persistently, until you got the job. You didn't get the best score, but you got the job. So started my career in banking. I ended up in the same bank for 17 years. And I ended up in an area of banking that was very male focused, which was commercial banking and plant and equipment lending, which means high-rise building. I could finance that, and I could finance the paint on the walls. Literally, that's what it meant. The number of times I would walk into a room full of blue suits and Joanne in her orange suit would stand out like the proverbial. And just weirdly, over the years, I was gaining this confidence. So I was evolving somewhat. But it wasn't until I was 38 that things changed incredibly sharply and differently for me, in that my husband at the time committed suicide and I was left with a 5-year-old daughter. And it was a week later after that somebody said to me, Joanne, you seem really relieved. And I said, actually, I am. What nobody knew was it was an incredibly abusive relationship. But what I had was a 5-year-old girl that I needed to look after, and I wanted to give her more time. So my brilliant idea about 12 months later was to start a business. And that business, the narrative that I spoke about was lots of time, lots of flexibility, lots of money. What a load of garbage that is. At the start of your business. And I didn't think about that. I didn't realize that. But what changed and shifted for me was the shy girl in the cupboard was no more. My life had changed fundamentally. And for the first time ever, I stood my ground and I did something that I wanted to do to start that business. And it's only in the last 3 to 5 years ago that I realized that lesson at 18 has served me well all the way through. So if I wanted a promotion, I put in for it. If I wanted to go for a contract, I put in for it. If I wanted a pay rise, I'd put in for it. I'd create a business case and I would tell the person, this is what I've done, this is what I'm going to do, let's negotiate and let's get that thing done. And I didn't realize that that was the pattern of behavior that I was just demonstrating. I just learned, and I didn't realize the impact that it had. And so I've done that through my entire career. So in my business career, I've owned about 15 to 16 companies. I've had epic success and I've had some incredible failures. You know, the things that I've learned over the years is I put in for a trademark to protect my brand of a business that I created. And that business, the name was created on the spur of the moment. The business before had a 2 in it. This one had a 3 in it. And that number 2 business didn't end out so well. So I thought, up yours, I'm just going to be one better than you. I'm going to put a 3 in it. I put in for the IP, went to IP Australia, applied for it. And about 6 months later, I got a letter from a global company saying, you have the exact same name as us. You have, I think it was 30 days to change, do something, or we're going to shut you down. So I went, well, can you give me 60 days? And I was in a position at that point to change my business name. I created a brand new one that was made up. It was an acronym. It was called Entamio, and it meant entrepreneurial training to create acumen and mastery to the individual and organization. Nobody would have that name again. Now, the really cool thing was, and it's obviously indelibly marked in my brain about what that word means, and it was a beautiful brand. And this is the business that often people talk about, that this is the one that I built to 30 million in 24 months. And people say to me, and I did do that, but I had an amazing team of people. But I also had 20 years of having done business well and not well over this time. And so what I did, I went and partnered with some of my largest competitors and said, I am this, you are a big version of me. I can see a gap in your business. I can fill it. So I managed to convince 5 of my largest competitors, we're in the education space, and I was able to create contracts with them and build an incredible business. But very sadly, due to a number of things, the pace of the growth, legislation changes, I liquidated that company and lost everything. And so these are the critical moments that I speak about. You know, if you're going to go for a trademark, be clear about it. Have you checked that it's not got a competitor? All these things that you need to have in business, because what I know about business today, many businesses are one customer, one supplier, one staff member complaint away from failure and closure. And so what I am now talking about with business owners is, if you're going to start a business, let's think about why. What are you going to be doing? Why do you want to do this? What does success look like for you? Second big question, how are you going to exit? And most people look at me and go, what do you mean? I haven't even started this thing yet. I haven't even got the revenue to what I want it to be. And so let me give you a scenario. We are in 2023 today. If I said to you, let's move to 2033, 10 years from today, you are ready to sell your business. You've spoken to the business broker and the business broker says it's this number, and you go, oh, wow, that is way less than I thought I was going to get. And you go, what am I going to do? I can't retire. I can't move it on. I'm lost. And you've put so much sweat, blood, and tears into this thing. It's your baby, and you can't sell it. So my suggestion is, let's get a DeLorean and go back to 2023. Let's go back and let's think about today. What are the things you're going to put in place to deal with the critical moments that come at you? Because it is a one customer complaint, a one staff member problem, a one supplier problem. That what are you going to do to navigate that, so that if you're going to sell your business to public, if you're going to sell your business to a staff member, if you're going to go to list on the stock exchange, if you're going to franchise, if you are going to walk away, you should run your business with that goal in mind. Because if you wait until the day that you are ready to exit and you're not getting the return, because for a lot of people, that's their super. And suddenly they don't have that option. And so nobody wants to live on the age pension, that is for sure. So, there's a whole journey here that, for me, I'm sharing what I've faced in business and what I've done really well and what I haven't done well. There's some amazing memories I have of taking 70 people to Alaska as a reward for great behavior and performance in the business. I remember taking 6 people on a private jet from Gold Coast to Sydney for lunch and coming back because the first $1 million hit my bank account. Those are critical moments as well, but they're great critical moments. And so why don't we celebrate them? And the way I did that was I put 1% into a fun account. That's the way that you can fund doing any of those sort of things with your team and your staff. And I can tell you, the opportunity to share that good, great celebratory event. I've taken people to China, to Hawaii, to New Zealand, to Alaska, and to Sydney, all based on 1% of my turnover. So when we started, we went out for lunch. We went out for dinner. But over time, as the business grows and you've got all these systems in place, you can then celebrate in a really big way, and it can be pretty jolly cool. That's me.
Joanne, I love your story, and I love you wrote a beautiful article for Connections magazine, which is a magazine for Bobby's Business Club, and it's a great read. And to come on and be so open about it's great, easy to talk about the wins, how it's great, all these things, but you've got to talk about the bad times as well. The businesses, there's more bad times with a lot of businesses than there are good times. So to come on and tell your story and be so open about it, and to especially from the beginning of the journey, the gear in the cupboard, and so many people are like that. I'm like that, kind of like really scared about going out there to do things, but the life's there to be taken on head on. And to have you part of the group and be in my network, it's great to be able to draw on your experience and know that you're there to support not only me, but also the members of Bobby's Business Club. So it's okay. So as you can see on the screen, well, you probably can't now because you probably see me, but if Joanne speaks now, if you want to speak, Joanne.
Yes, here I am.
You can see her QR code and you can scan that, or you can reach out to me and I'm happy to do a connection to Joanne, or you can come and meet her at Bobby's Business Club. We meet every other Tuesday and meet some other wonderful people. Talk about wonderful people, over to our next speaker. Her name is Anna, and whenever you're ready, Anna, you can take it away. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great story, Joanna. Every time, I love to hear it. Every time I hear it, I can't get enough of it. And I jump on the train of what you want and that you have to be clear about it. Because if you don't know what you want, you don't get what you want. So I'm going to share my screen. Go. Can you see this?
Yeah, it's in presenter mode though. So I can see your next slide as well. So you need to change the view.
Oh, yeah. How do I do that?
Maybe that button, you know the other one, next one, the one with the arrows. Try and move, what's that one? You know where you got the question mark and then you've got like 3 blocks and then 2 blocks next to the cross on the right-hand side. What's the next one? I'm just going to close it.
Or maybe I just do it like this.
Yeah, you can just do it like that. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll do it like this. Can you still see? Put it over here.
No, we can only see your purple background.
Okay, so I'm looking over here because the presentation is here. So excuse me not to look at the camera directly.
You're fine. You go ahead.
I want to present you with a case study about satisfying foreplays. And it's important. So foreplays, let me go to the next slide. I want to introduce you to the thought model. That's the foundation of the work that I do with my clients. And it starts with having a thought. We all have many, many thoughts, and all of these thoughts lead to a feeling. And with the feeling, we go on and do some actions. When we do actions, we get results. It's the same in business, it's the same in life. So the foreplay is the action. So the big question today is, what do you want? What do you need during the foreplay to happen in order to feel physically and mentally ready to move forward? So what we are talking about today is the questions that you can ask yourself to get to what do I actually want, and how you can communicate it to your partner in a way that isn't offensive to you and to him or her, and the importance of being specific. I'm going to introduce myself again quickly. So my name is Anna Thellmann, CEO and head coach of Thellmann Consulting in Shenyang. And I live here in China with my partner and our 2 dogs. And I've been in the coaching space for 7 years plus. I've coached over 250 people, mainly in England. And I was very successful in that, or I still am. And since March, I signed a contract with the local hospital. So I'm now Shenyang's #1 emotional health specialist for experts. And I help women experience the pleasure of orgasms through my proven Get Your Orgasm Back program, where I have 100% success rate. And something personal about me, I'm training for a 43K run in June. Not a marathon, because I turned 43 this year. So I thought, let's go for the 43. Let's move on to the case study. I want to introduce you to Vivian. Now, confidentiality is very, very important to me, and to keep the privacy of my clients. I changed the name, I changed the picture, and I got the consent that it's okay to use what we talked about during our session. So this is Vivian, the new one. And Vivian, when we met first, she was 36 years old. And she said, I have a happy marriage, but we don't have intimacy. And a happy marriage to her means I love my partner, he loves me, I trust him, I want to be with him, and I know that he wants to be with me. But we just don't have that intimacy anymore. And Vivian, she knew and still knows what she wants in terms of sex, in terms of pleasure, and she knows how to get it for herself, by herself. And a couple of statements she made during our consultation is, I'm not finding myself attractive, and I don't believe he does. I want to get the excitement back for sex. It's hard to switch off my mind. It's hard to say what I want in the bedroom and in life. I withdraw as soon as he comes close because I don't want to trigger sex. I lost hope in having a fulfilled sexual relationship with him. And I don't remember the last time we had sex, but it's been over 6 months. So when I asked her, what do you want? She said, I don't want to hate my body anymore. I want to want him again. And I don't want him to cheat on me. So all of these statements are based in fear, self-shame, self-doubt. So what we did first, so I want you to imagine that you're a bucket filled with crap. And that crap is the self-doubt, it's the self-blame, it's trying to control situations. It's everything that drags you down, that keeps you from moving forward or enjoy life to the fullest. And what we did is we removed that crap to have that empty bucket. And we started to refill it with acceptance for the good, the bad, and the ugly, that we all are, we all have it. And with self-care, self-worth, self-love, etc. So 5 weeks, after 5 sessions, she said to me, Anna, I think I want to have sex on the weekends. I was like, this is amazing. So let's work on that today. What do you want to do? So far, her foreplay was short, about 3 minutes. And the intercourse, the orgasm, was focused on him. And the main thought she had during the foreplay and during intercourse was, let's get it over with. So she knew what she didn't want, but she had an idea of what she wanted. So we started with that. We went into those details. So I asked her, how long would your ideal foreplay last at least? And first she said, longer. And I said, so 6 minutes, 7 minutes? Because longer means different things for different people. So she got to the point with to say, well, ideally, I would love it to be 30 minutes. I said, okay, let's do that, 30 minutes. And then I asked her, how would you like the foreplay to start? And she said, at home. I said, what does that mean? Your home is big. So where are you? What do you do? Let's be more specific. And she said, yeah, we're sitting on the sofa, we're watching telly, we're sitting next to each other. Because first she said, we're sitting on the sofa, and that still can mean one person on the one side, the other person on the other side. Yeah? So no, we are next to each other, cuddling, and then they look at each other, and then they start kissing. So that's how it starts. And then I wanted her to play through the foreplay in her head. What will he and you do? And she said, stuff that turns us on. But that's amazing. What kind of stuff? How does it look like? So how would you, in those 30 minutes, what would you like to happen? And then we went through that detailed scenario, step by step, making it very specific, very detailed. So the foreplay of, the purpose of the foreplay is to be physically and mentally ready to move forward. So we need to clarify, what do we want? And we need to be very specific. And at the end, the foreplay should last at least as long as you need to fulfill these criteria. As long as you need to be physically and mentally happy to move forward. So now the next question is, what can you say to get what you want? So I asked her, what happens if what he does doesn't turn you on in the way that you would like it to? Said, I tell him. How do you tell him? I say, I don't like this. I said, well, now this can mean a lot. What about don't you like? We need to be specific again. Because when I say I don't like it, it can mean I don't like the pressure, I don't like it at all, I don't like the position I'm lying at, whatever it is, many things. And she said, just do it differently. But again, it's, what does differently mean? How can he do something differently in a way that you like it if he doesn't know what exactly it is that you mean? And then she said, well, I'll probably just get frustrated and get it over with. And that's the big no, no, no. We don't want to get to that point, that we feel frustrated, that we feel disappointed because we don't get what we want and because we're not able to articulate what we want. So don't fall back into the mind drama of let's get it over with. So what can you do? And I created the cherry on top method. So, and the cherry on top method is like what you like, what you would like even more, and what is the result of getting even more. And we worked on that, and her first thought was, I like it when he kisses my breast. Amazing. What do you like even more? And she said, well, I like even more, particularly more, if he bites my nipples softly. And then I'm ready to have intercourse. I said, hold on a second. Are you then really ready if he does that? Or do you still might need some time and something else in order to be ready to move forward? So we don't want to put ourselves under pressure by giving someone the idea that if you do this, this is what you get. We just want to say, if you do this, this will happen. But if you then get what you think you will get, I don't know. I don't know how long I need. So we want to take the pressure away from ourselves, because it's a slippery slope and it's very easy to then fall back into that mind drama of let's get it over. So that's what she said. And I asked her, what if all of the playing around doesn't get you to the point where you are physically and mentally ready to move forward? And she said, that's okay. I can give myself a break. I can find alternative routes to go that don't lead to intercourse, or I can stop. So she came away from that self-shaming, self-blaming, from going into the mind drama. So just a quick recap. We want to be very specific in what we want, and we want to be very specific in telling our partner what we want them to do. And 1 week later, Vivian was very happy to report that she had sex during a foreplay, or including foreplay, sex. And what she said, the mind drama came up. That is to expect. So the mind drama came up, but she was at the point already that she could deal with it. The tools that I taught her, and because we went through the whole scenario in detail with all the what if questions, she was ready to release the mind drama and move forward. And she said she felt very weird to talk openly to her husband about what she wanted, because she's never done it before. But he appreciated a lot, because now he knew what she actually liked and could go with that. And she wasn't disappointed that she didn't have an orgasm, because she just enjoyed being close to him again after so many months, withdrawing, not having any intimacy. It was just amazing. And she also said that it helped their relationship to be more intimate in terms of holding hands, kissing, without it leading to sex, just enjoying each other's presence. And another recap: to get what you want during foreplay, find out what you want. Use those questions and find out what you really want, and to communicate it with the cherry on top method, and be very, very specific. And of course, if you want to work with me, please book your free consultation, and you can have the same results than Vivian. And with that, thank you very much.
Beautiful, my friend. I love that information, and I'm definitely going to take some of that and put it into my life. I think like anything in life, we've got to be brave and have discussions that we feel like can be awkward or difficult for us to have. But those conversations normally lead to better things to happen in our lives. And so if we want to have a better sex life, then we're going to need to have those conversations. And I think sometimes we can have our old relationships caught up in our head, and even going back to families and stuff like that, of how they present sex to you, and if they're really kind of like closed off from having that conversation, we then become closed off, and then all of a sudden we have generations and generations of people who are too scared to talk about it. But like anything, any relationship, whether it's business or whether it's personal, it's about communication, isn't it? And so a pleasure to see your growth and see how far you've come from our first conversations about a year ago. I think it must be by now. And it's really good to see where it all comes together and the fact that you're helping so many people. So I'm really proud of you, and I'm honoured to have you part of Bobby's Business Club. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I had one question, because it's so interesting when I'm listening to you, Anna. I mean, thank you both, Joanne and Anna. Your presentations are just, it's so nice how this kind of comes together in such a nice way. Like, it's not planned to have these two people on the show, but I think it's really lovely. And I was thinking, like, Anna, for you, given what you're helping people with their orgasms and their sex and their intimacy, I wonder, like, how do you have those boundaries to, when you're bringing a client in to have just a discovery call or chemistry call or whatever you call it, do you find that you attract people that maybe come in with the wrong intention because they think, oh, this is a bit fun? Like, how do you put those boundaries in place and make sure the person actually is like a Vivian, who is wanting to come in and actually like deal with that stuff as such? Like, I was just thinking that would be like, I know myself being a life coach, and you get a bit creepy people. Oh, I like your voice. Oh, you look pretty, you know, unfollow. But I imagine you would get people jumping on, maybe saying certain things, but then to have that conversation with them to find out whether they are actually someone that you would like to work with.
Yes, and I actually had this example just a couple of weeks ago where I got a guy, he booked a consultation call, and he didn't give me all the details that I asked for. So I sent him a message saying, okay, you booked a consultation call. This is what's going on during the call, helping him along to know what's going to happen. And then he came back and said, so you talk about sex and orgasms. Will there be any sex or sexual stuff? And I said, what do you mean by sexual stuff? Again, being specific, yeah. It can mean so many things. To me, sexual stuff means probably different stuff to you. So he wasn't really opening up. So I said to him, let's have the consultation and discuss it then. And he said, well, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if you want to, if I want you to see my face before. And I'm embarrassed to ask that question. I said, well, this is how it goes. We have the consultation, or you can send me an email and tell me what you exactly want. And then I tell you yes or no. So eventually he said to me, are we showing each other's body parts so that I can have an orgasm? And I thought about it. So I didn't straight away reply, because I thought, where are my boundaries? What will I be open to? How can my customers be in front of me and I will be okay with it? So then I thought, if they want to be in any sort of kinky stuff, fine by me. If you want to wear a mask, fine by me. If you want to show me your body parts, oh, I want to see that. And I don't want to show you mine. That's no. So I said to him, I'm not doing that. I'm not that kind of coach. Can't help you here. And I canceled everything. And he came back to me and said, are we still having that? I said, no, because you told me what you wanted. I told you that I won't deliver it. So I don't see the point in having a consultation. And that's my boundary. So, and I think with every client that we get or potential customer, we might redefine it again and again.
Exactly. That's what I was just thinking now. I was thinking, you don't know what's going to come across, and what is, until you actually have someone present that to you, you don't actually know what your boundary might be. But I love the process that you sort of talked through. It was about being specific rather than, I think as a coach, like I find a lot of us, sometimes initially when you're starting your business, you're wanting just to have those discovery calls and to meet people. So definitely to be aware of knowing up front, like how do I be a bit more specific so that you're not wasting your time or the person's time. Bring them onto a call that, as such. So yeah, thank you for that. Did anyone have any more questions for Anna? Because I just have one question for Joanne as well. No? Okay. Yeah, so Joanne, with yours, thank you so much. Same as what Bobby was saying. I've heard your journey before, but each time you tell it, there's little bits that you put in there. And I wrote down that part where you're talking about your 1% fun.
Yes.
And how it grew over time. And I'm thinking that's so beautiful, because lots of business owners would actually stop and just go, I'll just take you out to lunch and take the profits. But you kind of almost brought your team along for the journey, right? And I think that's just such a nice thing. And you talked about critical moments. And I was wondering if you could like summarize like how to transform those critical moments into success.
Yeah. And I think there's the old adage, we've all heard it, that, there's a silver lining in all those things. And so for me, it's about when something comes your way that's unexpected, I think the first thing you need to do is take a breath, just breathe, be calm. Because when you make decisions in a stressful mindset, I don't believe you make good decisions, right? So breathe, be calm. I think the other piece that's incredibly important for business owners, and we've got it here, you could say we've got almost an advisory board, because we've got people in a network that I deliberately surround myself with, that I know that if I've got a challenge or something that I don't know the answer to, I can pick up the phone and say, Bobby, I've got a recruitment problem, and I've got this problem. And people, business owners don't necessarily deliberately create an advisory board, but I do suggest that it's a good practice. And a lot of them have got the framework of it from the very beginning, because most of them have a bookkeeper and an accountant. Most of them will have a lawyer because they want some paperwork signed and get a lease done and all that sort of stuff. So who else would you put in that advisory board? Well, it could be, depends on what your needs and your gaps are, but you should definitely have a coach or a mentor. People often ask me, when do I need one? Now, before I start the business, now, been in business now. How many of you had, Joanne? Many. Have I? Depends on their specialty. It could be what Anna provides, what Karen provides, what Bobby provides, and on the list goes. So call on the people that you trust. Now, I will put a caveat on that. I hear many stories of business owners speaking to people who are giving them advice. I would always say, in your conscious mind, is it credible advice? Do they have the experience to give you the advice that they're giving you? And to not take it on board and receive it with love and send it straight back if it's not credible. And then what's the strategy we can do to move ourselves out of that thing? So if we go to the trademark issue that I had, I could afford it, but it was an incredibly large organization, and I knew it would cost me an awful lot of money in lawyers and time and effort and all those sort of things. Was I completely connected to that brand name? Absolutely not, because it was, as I said, it was on a whim that I created that brand. But I got my advisory board, I spoke to people and said, okay, so what's the strategy? It's either way, it's going to cost me a lot of money. So I'm better spending it on money that's going to create a brand than can escalate me to bigger heights and bigger ways. So I saw that as an absolute positive, because this brand I created in those days, and sounding like it was years ago, but there was no Canva. There was none of that software that we can access to do amazing things like we've all got. Look at us. We've all got a virtual screen that we've used some sort of digital system to create, and they look fantastic. And so I didn't have that. And so the brand looked pretty clunky, and it was okay, not brilliant. So I wasn't connected to it. But I hadn't even thought about changing it because I didn't have an issue with it. But then I changed it, and it completely changed how I thought about the business, how the team thought about the business, because I got the team involved in the rebrand. So it wasn't me doing it. I got the team involved and said, okay, this is the piece of challenge we have. We are all going to the brand company, and we're going to go through this process together. And we are, as a collective, going to decide what we love in regards to that. And so, stay calm, speak to respected advisors, work out a strategy, and bloody well take action. Do not put your head in the sand. Long answer to a short question.
I love that. I love that last part about the action, because it's the same as what Anna was sharing with hers, like what is the action, being specific about what is it, like that whole journey and that. And I think it's so interesting when you talk about it, how you brought the team along for the rebrand, like you brought them all in together, because you recognize that you can't by yourself, you have to bring them in. And that's just such a powerful story, I think. So so much value in that. So it's good. I did have one more question for you. What do you see? You mentioned exit strategies, and I don't know if this is one of the biggest challenges, but what do you see as one of the biggest challenges for businesses in the next 12 months?
I believe that out there are a lot of business owners with amazing technical skill. And so if I can, some of you might have heard this analogy, but I often use the analogy, if you're going to build a house, the builder's going to put foundations into the ground so it's stable, right? 2-story, 3-story, 20-story. The builder's going to go deep and secure it. So why on earth do business owners not do that in their business? They've got a technical skill. They know how to build that thing on top, but, Staying small is not a good strategy. Staying small is a risky strategy, a business failure and challenge. So you need to scale, and that scale could be to whatever level you want, 2 million, 5 million, 500 million, whatever the number is. But you've got to put the foundations in. So in my mind, I visualize, a bolt goes through from the Gold Coast here to China. There's a jolly great nut on it, slams it shut, and I'm strong and solid. And if I've got business foundations in place, I can build and scale. So what are business foundations? Knowing what your exit strategy is, systems, processes, taking action, having a plan, knowing what success looks like, putting a team of people around you. So business foundations, I feel, are often missed as not important because they know how to do accounting, they know how to do whatever the technical skill is they're doing.
I think that's really important, because there was a client I work with here. I help her with some marketing, and we were talking about this with coaches. We're helping coaches, and she mentioned that when you start out as coaching, you have so much passion to help people that sometimes you forget about those foundations. Yes. And then 8 to 9 months pass, and suddenly you realize how much you're spending, and maybe not making, and it's because you haven't put those foundations in place.
Correct.
Yeah. No, it's really critical. Thanks, Joanne. I do have a question. I'm interested, Anna. So a question for you is, you mentioned obviously a lot about the orgasm and your process. I love the idea of the cherry on top. It's like asking for more. How would you say that you increase intimacy? Because I imagine you do get a lot of women, I'm sure men too, but you would get women coming in, my age, midlife, that sort of thing, coming and going, how do I reconnect with my partner? How do I ask for what I want? How do I just start with something really simple, which is, how do I increase my intimacy with my partner when you're feeling maybe disconnected? Because life gets in the way. Like, I have 2 children and you're busy and we're both busy and it's crazy, right? And all that sort of stuff. So I'm really interested, like, what would you say to someone listening today where they could actually start with? Like, just
thank you. I found that the starter package to increase intimacy, it's a very, very simple strategy, is the 5 love languages. I don't know if you guys heard about it. Everyone has one specific love language, the language that they want to be talked at to feel loved. And that for mine particularly is quality time. So spending time with my partner is, to me, very important. When we spend time together, I feel loved. I feel closer to him. When he listens to me, when we sit there having dinner dates and talk and just look into each other's eyes, it's just like amazing. I feel really loved. I feel really close to you. Another one is gifts. Yeah, people love gifts. And some of us really, really love gifts. And it doesn't mean that you have to spend a lot of money. It can just be like something thoughtful, a picked flower, a card that you bought in the shop at the petrol station or wherever. But just this, you're on my mind, here is my gift. And people love that, and it brings you closer together. The other one is physical touch. Now, we're not talking about having sex. We're talking about just maybe a stroke on the cheek, or just holding hands, or sitting close to each other while you watch telly. That physical touch. Another one is words of affirmation. So you tell your partner, love you, you look amazing, or I adore how you cook this dinner tonight. It's so delicious. And that can make us feel closer together. And the last language is acts of service. So my partner loves it when I cook dinner, because that's for him, his love language. He loves that. He just thinks, oh my God, she must love me so much because she cooks dinner almost every night. And he tells me, oh, this is so delicious. He also tells me if it's shite, which is fair enough. But for him, I show him my love by doing that, by cooking dinner. And he shows me his love by spending time with me, giving me that. So I think these 5 love languages are a very, very simple way to start increasing the intimacy.
It's so beautiful. And I was listening to that too, and I was thinking it's the part that tends to, I just can think of my own sort of parts, is sometimes you take that for granted, and you don't actually, the other person doesn't actually thank you or acknowledge. And I think that's such a key part when you were sharing that, like you said, your husband says whether it's good or bad, but at least he tells you, like, you're communicating about that. So that's important to actually understand, rather than feeling like, whatever you've done is not actually resonated or even been thought of, or even like someone even cared about it. So yeah, thank you both. Bobby, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks so much for the questions, Karen, and thanks for the great answers. And before we wrap up, I have one question for all of you from Joanne Brooks right now. So Anna, do you have an exit strategy for your business?
Yes, I'm actually going to sell my business in 20 years for 56 million.
Beautiful. Well, there you go. We're definitely going to keep friends then, definitely. Karen, over to you. What about yourself?
I just went eek, and I was like, no. When Joanne brought it up, I'm like, oh my gosh, don't ask me.
Joanne, I'm assuming you have one.
Yeah. 20 million sale price, impacting 1 million women in 10 years.
Wow, that is to the detail, that is, isn't it?
With 1,000 scholarship to women as well in that. So
wow.
1 million, 1,000 get scholarships.
Beautiful.
Our services for free.
Beautiful. And for me, mine changes sometimes. Sometimes I want to rule the world and rule everything. Sometimes I want to sell it, and sometimes I want to have a franchise. Just got to work out which one of those. But I know I've got some paths, and I know they all lead to something. I've just got to kind of work that out. It changes on a weekly basis with different businesses. We'll work it out. But thank you so much to Joanne and Anna, and obviously our wonderful co-host Karen. As you can see, we have some wonderful members of Bobby's Business Club. Our next meeting is not in a fortnight's time, because I've got to tell you our last meeting, because it's Anzac Day on the 25th. Yes. And so our next meeting will be on the 9th of May at 10 o'clock Brisbane time. So only for 1 hour. You can come in. It's a really quick chat. You can share the screen, talk about whatever you like. Anna last week wanted help with her background, which is beautiful. I'm glad you chose that one. It's my favorite color, so well done. And thank you so much for the guests again. If you want introductions to any of the people you see on the screen, you can reach out to myself, or you can reach out to anyone else you can see on the screen as well. These videos will be live, uploaded. They go automatically onto Facebook pages, onto our LinkedIn pages, onto YouTube. So if you are watching this after the live event, thank you for watching, and thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.